Hello and welcome to the post-race press conference for round 10 of the 2024 Sunday Mill Berlin E Prix. Joining us we have a race winner Antonio Felix Da Costa for Tag Heuer Porsche. We have Oliver Rowland from Nissan and Nick Cassidy from Jaguar TCS Racing. Congratulations guys. Da Costa, let's start with you. Dak is back again. This time, fingers crossed, you get to keep it. You know a lot about winning here, but how does this one feel?
Yeah, it feels awesome. Actually racing for a German team and winning on German soil is amazing. We have a lot of important people this weekend, a lot of employees, a lot of guests. Our board members are here, so it feels good to be able to give this back to them. But yeah, Berlin's been a good place for me in the past. It's also been cruel at times, but yeah, good memories here, and happy to add this one to the memory pool.
Give us a little bit of insight to what it must have been like behind the wheel in the closing stages of that race, because it looked very stressful.
It was, but the closing stages are actually the more calmer ones. It's the first 25-30 laps that are tricky. Awareness, I think it's the key word here. Try and keep your car clean. Try and put it in the right place at the right time. Yesterday we got it a little bit wrong. Today I was able to be a bit smarter on my decisions and be at the front when the time mattered. Also, you know, we do have an efficient car, and I'm able to build up energy nicely. And yeah, but obviously a lot of work goes into this. You know, a lot of prep, a lot of sim, a lot of creating scenarios in your head, and obviously you're racing so many talented drivers and teams. And on top of all of that, you're going 6 wide and trying to save energy. It's just a mess, but it's fun. It is fun. It is very stressful, but it's fun.
Like you said before, home race for the team, a huge win as well. So my question is, if Dak is now officially back, if that is the case, what's the target now for the final 3 double headers? Because if my maths is correct, it's 174 points up for grabs.
We seem to do well in these type of races. But yeah, you know, still got Pascal up there, and I think at the moment that's the big push from us. If we do get the win back from Misano, maybe. You know, that's being contested and protested, or however you want to call it. But I'm not really thinking that, and I think you could see how these guys raced me, and they raced each other. I think they were kind of happy to let me go and not get involved in the mix. And obviously I have a little bit less to lose right now, so wins are more important to me than finishing 5th or 6th. So. Yeah, let's see. Still a long season, but to be fully honest with you, the championship's not really on my mind.
Thank you very much. Oliver, let's move on to you. P16 to the podium. I'm kind of mixing the order up, don't I? 16 to the podium. Another huge climb. Capitalised again, this is why I want to come to you, on making up a lot of those positions early on, like we saw yesterday. And then you had the chance to save under the safety cars. Is that part of the plan, to push early and hope that kind of strategy pays off?
Honestly, I was sat on the grid. I had no idea what to do. We discussed the options of saving and coming through a bit like Nick did yesterday, but obviously the targets were higher. In the end, I didn't come straight away. I waited 5 laps, saving quite a lot, and then I knew that the next 5 laps were critical, and that's when I made a lot of moves. And I also feel like that was a point in the race where the leaders tend to not want to lead, and it's quite slow, so you can quickly make up places because it's very packed. That's what we did. We got to the front, and actually the energy numbers were reasonable considering I'd had to make up all those places. Yeah, and then it was about staying there. It honestly wasn't easy racing 2 Jags and 2 Porsches and being a little bit alone. I think everybody raced relatively fairly, but they always want to kind of look after each other a little bit, which is what I do also in the same situation. So it wasn't easy, particularly after the restart. Got shuffled back a little bit, but yeah, managed to stand on the podium from 16th is an incredible result.
You mentioned it there in terms of the race. There was a lot of contact in the race, which cost a lot for a few, but you seemingly unaffected, even without having a fully intact front wing from quite early on. How?
Well, Nissan must build strong front wings, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, look, I had bits of contact. I mean, there was a couple of occasions where I was quite aggressive and it was more wheel to side pod, I would say, but there's an element of luck and being unlucky when the wing gets kind of caught under the car. Today I was lucky. It's really tricky because when at times in that race, when I said, right, I'm happy, I don't want to move any further forward, I get swallowed up all of a sudden. And then you lose that attacking mentality and you get eaten alive. So you have to go back to having attacking mentality. So yeah, for sure, some things are close and on the limit, but it seems to be working. So we need to keep pushing in that direction.
The top three now slightly starting to pull away from the rest, and you're less than a race win worth of points off the top spot. Surely now it's all about trying to look at that championship, and you can't keep saying race by race. Surely now there is a target now.
It is race by race. I don't think I or the team expect to really go and win the championship, but you're right, we're in a good place, and for sure would be crazy not to think about it, but the best way in order to be as close as you can at the end is to think about every race at a time. We particularly have challenges here in qualifying, other races in certain other aspects, and we have to focus on making sure that these items are assessed and that we have the strongest package available. I think we can't keep qualifying on the 8th row and expect to keep getting podiums. I know it keeps happening, but if you want to win the championship, that can't happen. So we need to go away and understand in qualifying how to be better, and it'll make our lives much, much easier in the race. But yeah, I guess I'm in the hunt, but I would say a bit of an underdog, but I quite like that.
I'm not so sure you're an underdog anymore, not with these performances. Last question for you. Nick, you've got Love Story, you've got Backstreet Boys. If you do get a win and you're on the top stripe of the podium, now's your chance to make official request for the song.
I didn't choose Backstreet. I mean, I do like it.
You said Dak's back, so I said Backstreet's back. It just works.
I need to think about that one.
Let me know.
I'll
Okay,
let you know.
Nick, moving on to you. Very, very eventful race today. But I want to get an idea of your experience today versus yesterday.
Yeah, eventful race. Ultimately, it's been a fantastic weekend. I'm proud of my guys and girls. We turned things around, I think, a bit overnight. Had a really fast package today, and yeah, it's been a really good day.
There was a point where it looks like the podium position might have slipped away. Can you talk us through some of the points that you made over the radio? What you thought needed to happen to maximise the chances for you and the team?
I mean, these races are always hectic, right? And it's really hard to communicate because things move so fast. But I was just trying to kind of help us both, if I could, give some guidance on where I thought I was at and what could be the best. But man, it's so hard in these races to do that. So ultimately, everything was pretty good, I would say. I feel sorry for Mitch at the end to drop down a couple because I think, yeah, we both had the pace for the podium for sure. Anything
in particular that you think could have helped you get that one step higher on the podium?
Honestly, I think second was our maximum in a way. Antonio drove fantastically today, and when he picked up the pace at the end, I thought he was quicker than us as well. So a really deserved win, and I'm super happy with second.
Now, looking ahead for your rest of the season, you've said before about your predicted challenges for places like Shanghai and Portland with the Jaguar setup. But after this weekend, and of course having a podium on a very flowing circuit like Mazzano, do you still feel the same?
Look, I've got to be hopeful. Yeah, we've scored a lot of podiums now on a wide range of circuits, so we're going to do our best. I think the changes kind of made overnight for me were a big step for this style of track, and now I'm really excited about the rookie test tomorrow and to try to keep that development going, and hopefully it can help tracks like Shanghai and Portland, and if that's the case, then we'll be in with a shot.
Just a final question for each of you. I think I spoke to you all at some point about the racing yesterday. It was, from a viewer's perspective, slightly easier to follow, especially in the first half today. Still a lot of questionable contact, but would you say it's closer to the preferred format in terms of energy?
I would say so. I mean, for the fairness of the sport and for the fastest guy to win, I would say today is probably a better balance. But as I said before, we need to go back and if all of our fans, all of our viewership are going crazy happy with the racing that they're watching, then they are the ones we need to keep happy. So that's the analysis as a championship that I think we have to do. Because yeah, it's about the fan base, it's about the viewership, and yeah, I think we should listen to the fans and see what they want to see. But yeah, obviously, a kind of race like yesterday, I don't think the fastest guy, the fastest car will win. It's a lot of strategy that goes into it. It's fun, a different way to get things done. But yeah, ultimately for the success of the series, we need to listen to our fans.
So nods of agreement from each of you. Anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, like, I should be biased, but I'm not. I must say that yesterday, we won the race, but we won it through strategy. That's correct. Ultimately, you've got to play that game. You've got to understand what your pace is and your position, and we are in the race and try to maximize whatever the racing format is. But I do prefer these little bit faster races where the guy who's qualified on pole position, has an advantage because of that.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think today probably should be the limit in terms of how much saving we have, and then anything above is going to make a slightly different spectacle. But I think I fully agree with what Antonio says, and honestly, a lot of the people that watch me that don't have anything to do with motorsport think it's miles better motorsport than they've ever watched before because they think the rest of it's boring. But yeah, for me, we need to find a good balance in terms of circuits, cars, everything. Slipstream, how much effect that has, how much energy there is in the race, because the problem is at the moment the cars give off such a slipstream that nobody wants to lead, and that's why the races end up like they do. So I think if we can make small steps forward on all these areas, we can make a good spectacle and a proper racing series as well, in terms of a spectacle.
Thanks very much. Chance for a few questions from the floor. Any questions in the room? Yeah.
Jack Smith, Motorsport Monday. Antonio, you and Pascal have probably performed pretty much equally in terms of performance, but you've been more unlucky. If you can get it hooked up and get more luck and get better results in the next couple of races, do you feel that it's going to be tricky from a team point of view to get the balance right, or is it just going to be a race-by-race case?
I would say Pascal still has a little edge on me over one lap. He's driving the package really, really well. I'm actually struggling to find the right balance for me, and we do want different balances from a race car, and that's the work that's been ongoing. We have done steps. I think it's been 7 duels this year or whatever that I've missed out in P5 by a few hundred. So we have made steps, but ultimately we do need to still find a little bit of pace. But then again, it doesn't. I remember Nick telling me in Misano when he said I was super angry about my qualifying, and then after 2 laps you're in P2. So in the end, in some of these races, it doesn't really matter where you qualify, but still you do want to show the world and show your team that you are the quickest driver, and that's where my bigger target is at the moment.
Next question.
Hi, question to all the drivers. Obviously, we now know that Berlin will stay on the calendar until at least 2027, with an option until 2030. Could you just briefly sum up your opinion on the contract extension?
About Berlin?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, great memories from here. It's won a few races here and won my championship here. So I think the grandstands were full. It's one of our best European races in terms of fans, and we've had more German manufacturers in the series before. Obviously now it's only Porsche, but yeah, it's important to have a home race for one of the manufacturers for sure.
Yeah, fully agree. Been here many times. Great place. We spent, I think, 10 days here doing 6 races, which always feels a bit strange when you walk through the doors. But yeah, great to come back every year. And yeah, if we can keep doing this, then that's great.
Any other questions? Chance for one more.
Yeah. Nick Golding, Racing News 365. Obviously, you've had 2 races now on this new layout. What did you make of it? Or is there any further changes you'd like to see made for the future?
It's a little bit short, I would say. Maybe could be a little bit more technical for a qualifying lap. It's very, very close, as you see. I think the tarmac's always quite tricky for us here to get our heads around. But yeah, maybe slightly longer. But for the racing, I think it was quite good. It opened up some passing opportunities, and even the last corner I quite liked because we could kind of go two abreast, and someone could come up the inside there if they had a better front end. But yeah, I think it was pretty good. Maybe we can add a bit. I don't know how it works, but yeah, that would be good.